Welcome back to the shop. This is actually part 2 of our look at Light Fast CSB Wide version carbon spoke ultralight wheel set. In part 1, I showed you all the details and specifications on these wheels, weighed them, looked at the profiles of the rims, and gave you a discount code for the wheels to save you some money, provided by LightFast very kindly. And that discount code is just JIM15. In this video, we're going to do an inspection on these wheels, sort of do a report card on the build quality of the wheels, which I do on all the Chinese carbon wheels that I check out. Basically, I look at the wheels from my point of view as a wheel builder, and I do a quality control check. And we're going to put the wheels in a truing stand. We're going to check trueness and roundness, rim centering, also called dish, spoke length, spoke tension, spoke twist. Check to see if they were stress relieved. And we'll do some tire checks, valve quality, and ease of tire installation and removal, because you don't want a set of wheels where it's impossible to put the tires on. If you get out on a ride and you get a flat tire, it should be easy to put the tires on, not challenging. So that's what we'll do today. It won't take too long, and it'll give us an idea of how high quality these wheels were built. I also have a clip from the factory showing one of the processes they use in building the wheels, which is kind of cool to see. It's how they stress relieve them. So we'll get started in a second here. To check roundness and trueness, I put the wheel in a truing stand, and I'll bring the camera in close so you can see the gap between the rim and the pointer on the truing stand, just to see if it's super true and round or if there's any issues. This is the front wheel. I'll put a ruler in here so you can get an idea of what kind of gap we're talking about. It's small fractions of a millimeter we're talking about. And then we can see the gap. That was very true, side to side. They did a really good job on this wheel. So we'll move the pointer. And we'll put it underneath the rim. Now we're looking at the roundness of the rim. That's really good too. You could barely fit a piece of paper in there. Boy, they got it nice and round and nice and side to side true. So it's a really true round wheel. Very good job on this front wheel. So let's take a look at the rear wheel. That's another really nice true wheel. It's hard to hold the camera perfectly steady, but you can see that there's almost no issues there at all. It looks almost perfect to the eye. And again, that's a tiny tolerance there. That's tenths of a millimeter. Now if we move the pointer, another very round rim. That's a very small gap. This is a very nice job they did. So they passed the roundness and the trueness test with flying colors. I have a whole separate video about rim centering if you're building wheels or working on wheels and you have questions about that. But basically, we're going to check these wheels to make sure that the rim is centered over the hub. And that's important because if the wheel does not center correctly in the frame, you could have issues. You might feel that the bike pulls to one side or the other. With disc brakes, you don't have to worry about caliper brakes rubbing, which would be another issue if you had rim brakes. But these are disc brakes, you don't worry about that. But to check that the wheel is centered, we use a centering tool, or sometimes they call it disengage or wheel centering tool. And it's basically, you set it for one side, it measures in 3 points at the rim and at the hub. It's 2 feet over here, and there's a little pointer in the middle which you could see. And we set it for one side, and if the wheel is centered, and we flip it over, It should be the same on the other side too. And this wheel is perfect. It's rubbing against the end cap on this side. And it's rubbing against the end cap on this side. You can't get any better than that. A tiny discrepancy, you'd never notice it. But on this wheel, it's perfect. There's no discrepancy at all. Front wheel is different spacing, 100 millimeters versus 142 millimeters. So you have to adjust the tool. It's as simple as that. And we have it set to this side, which is the disc brake side. They call this centering, or sometimes they call it wheel dish. And the same situation here. It's perfect. Wow, really good job on centering the rim over the hubs. Nice to see that. We're going to check spoke length next to make sure that the spokes are the right length inside the rim so that you have sufficient grip on the spoke nipples. And I have one of these carbon spokes here to show you that they're using what's called internal nipples. So these are up inside the rim. That's a pretty oversized spoke thread compared to what you get on a steel spoke. And it's interesting how the nipple is sort of built into the end of the spoke. This piece doesn't move. That's integral to the carbon spoke. And then the spoke nipple goes on like this. And what you're hoping to see in there when we look inside the wheel is that the spokes are fully up into the top of the nipple there. We have to look inside the rim, so I'm going to bring a flashlight over here and illuminate it. You should be able to see pretty clearly that the spoke is protruding from the end of the spoke nipple, which is what you want to see. It could be a little bit below, but ideally it would be right at the top, maybe even a little past it. You don't really have to look at every spoke. I mean, it's possible that they didn't use or they mixed up the spoke lengths, but it'd be very unusual. Once they calculate the spoke length for a series of wheels, you're going to get the right size spokes. And you can see that the spokes in the rear wheel are really good. That length, they just nailed the length. It's just what you want to see. That gives you confidence that the spokes have a full support of the nipple, and it's very unlikely they would break. A typical problem is spokes break is because they're down below the top of the nipple, which creates a stress riser. And the spoke won't always break, but the nipple can break, which is just as bad. And now we have the front wheel in there. And we're seeing the same thing. The spoke length is spot on this wheel too. Really nice job, Light Fast. We saw that the wheels are nice and round and nice and true, which means that there's even tension in the wheel, because if there wasn't even tension in the wheel, you would probably see wobbles or out of round issues. So what we're going to do to check one more thing is we're going to check to see if the tension of the spokes is high enough. So wheel factories usually have a specification on how tight they get their spokes. And what I'm going to do is check the spokes with a Wheel Fanatic spoke tensionometer, which is a really nice tool that'll put a number on the tension on the spokes. And I can, using that number, the key thing we want to see is, are they tight enough and are they consistent? Are they pretty much all around the same tension? That's what we look for. So typically you go around the tighter side, which would be the disc brake side on the front wheel, and it would be the cassette side on the rear wheel. So that's what we'll do. We'll just go around and check a selection of spokes. So that's really good. We're seeing 29 and 30, really consistent tension on those disc side, the tight side spokes on this wheel. That's what we want to see. Check the rear wheel. We're on the cassette side now. These will be the tightest spokes. There's that 30 again. So these vary a little more. We saw 26 to 30. So they're a little tighter than the front spokes, which I would expect because it's a rear wheel. And they're not perfect, but they're very close to each other. And that's perfectly acceptable because we know that this wheel is very round and very true. And the spokes are even tighter than the front wheel. So that's another really nice wheel. So you know that these are built with carbon spokes, and they're actually what I would call bladed spokes. They're flat spokes. And what I do on all these wheel checks is I make sure that these are aligned correctly so that they aren't facing the wind. And basically they're aerodynamic spokes, so they're supposed to slice through the wind, not block the wind. So there's a special tool for this. It's the same tool you use when you're working on the wheel so that the spokes don't twist when you're tightening the wheel, tensioning the wheel. And this is what the tool is. So what I do is I go around, I slip this on each one of the spokes. It's going to take a little while, but I'll try to speed it up in production and when I make the videos. But what you're looking for is you want this tool to be perpendicular to the spoke. So it should line up pretty closely to the cassette when I put it on the spoke. So that looks pretty good. I've seen some wheels that have really twisted spokes, but they did a good job on this rear wheel. I didn't see any that were very far out at all. This you don't have the free hub to look at, so you can't see the extension over here, but it's the same principle. This piece of the tool here should be parallel with the hub. Or close to it. Doesn't have to be perfect. Well, the front wheel checks out really nice too. I've seen wheels where the spokes are twisted almost 2/3 of the way around, so they're full on into the wind. We don't have any issues like that with these wheels. It tells you that when they work on the wheel, when they tension the spokes, they're holding the spoke with some kind of a holder. I don't know what type they use at the factory, but they hold it with one hand while they tighten the nipples with the other hand to make sure that the spoke doesn't wind up, which you don't want. You don't want the spokes twisted or wound up. You want them flat. You want them as aerodynamic as possible. So they did a good job. LightFast did a good job with these wheels on the spoke alignment. The next test is to check the wheels and see if they were stress relieved at the factory. But the thing is, I know they were because they sent me a video, and I'll show you the video clip of how they stress relieve the wheels. They do it with a pneumatic machine, which is pretty common in a factory. I'm just going to check them anyway, just to double check. Maybe they missed this pair somehow. And what I'm going to do is push down on the wheel, put lateral force on the rim, go around the rim, and we're going to listen to see if it makes any popping or cracking sounds. And then we're going to put them in the truing stand again and just take a second look at if they came out of true when I did this. So you just go around the wheel, start at the valve stem. It's going to look like I'm hurting the wheel, but it doesn't hurt the wheel. It just puts a lateral flex on it. Typically go around both sides so that you pressurize both sides of the wheel. We're going to do it to the front wheel. We're going to repeat with the rear wheel. This is a hard plastic floor. It can't hurt the wheel or the rim. When you build wheels, you stress relieve during the process of building the wheel. As it gets tighter and tighter, you do it several times. It ensures that when you're riding down the road, the wheel doesn't come out of true. We're not hearing any noises, so that's a good sign. All right, we're going to put them in the truing stand and see if that did anything. So here's the front wheel after we gave it that workout on the floor, stress relieving it. If you look right there, you can see that it didn't change at all. It's still super round, super true side to side. That's what we're hoping to see. So put the rear wheel in, check that one out too. So we'll give the rear wheel a spin. This wheel looks really good too. So they definitely stress relieved them at the factory. They didn't change a bit when I pressed on them like that. So that's really good to see. Moving on to the tire checks, if you saw part 1 of this video, I already showed the valves that come with the wheels, but it's a nice set of tubeless valves, 60 millimeters long, which is the right size for the profile of these rims, which is 30 millimeters and 35. And a nice feature on these valves is that they come with valve caps with built-in valve core removers, which is a handy thing on a tubeless valve. And they're aluminum valve caps. And they come in a nice red color. I don't know if there's options for colors, but they look like a quality set of valves. So I got these nice Pirelli P0 race tires in a 40 millimeter width because I want to run the new sort of widest gold standard. A lot of people are talking about the beautiful ride of 40C tires on the road. And so I got some of these in, and we're going to test the tire on the rim. As I said earlier, you should be able to get your tires on and off easily. on your wheels. And a lot of times the problem is not the wheel, it's the tire. In fact, I'd say it's more likely it's the tire that's at the problem than the rim. I put on a number of these P0s and Pirelli Cinturato tires, and they go on pretty nice. So we're just going to try it on these new wheels and see how it fits. In the first part one of this video, I pointed out that the wheel did not come with rim strips, which is usually I would check out the rim strip and make sure it fills the inside of the rim, because a tubeless rim strip or tubeless rim tape needs to seal up the rim. I'm not going to run these tubeless, I'm going to run them with TPU tubes. But I still, if I could, I'd put the rim strip in, but they didn't send one. LightFast didn't include one with the wheels. So I had to order the rim strip in the right width. This is a really wide rim, 25 millimeter internal width, and it hasn't arrived yet. So I'm going to put the tire on without the rim strip, but I'm not going to run it like that. Before I actually ride these, I will get the rim strips and have it set up right. So we'll just see if we can put these tires on. You can put a tire out in the sun if you want, make it a little easier. But I'm just going to see if we can, what it takes to put the tire on right out of the box. There you go. One side's on. The key to put the tires on by hand is to get the bead, the side of the tire, in the center of the rim. So we got one side on, so we'll just put the other side on. Definitely not a loose fit, but it goes on. But it wasn't that challenging to put it on by hand. Boy, look at that tire. I don't have any air in it, but you can already see that it's going to be a wide road tire. Can't wait to ride them. P0s are fantastic tires, but I've been riding them in a 28 millimeter width. This is going to be 40 millimeter, which should make a real difference. Now the good test, it went on by hand pretty easily, but let's see if we can get it off by hand. I suspect it's going to be very difficult to get it off by hand because of what it took to put it on. You would need to get slack to get it up and over the rim. And one of the challenges with a wider rim is that it's a little harder to lift it up and over the edge because it's further away from the center of the tire. It's possible this tire would loosen up after it's been on the road for a while and been inflated for a while. But I don't think I could get this tire off with my hands only, which means you're going to want to carry tire levers for taking the tire off on the road. I have a toe peak shuttle tire lever, which is a 2-part tire lever. So I'll try this. It's a hard plastic tire lever. The tricky thing with these wide tires is because it's actually the wide rim and the wide tire, you have to get the bead close to the rim to lever it over the edge, because if you're in here, the bead is too far away from the rim wall, it gives you too much leverage. You can't fight the leverage. So basically it's not going to be an easy tire to get off with the tire lever. But that's your only option. You got to get the bead of the tire close to the rim wall. And then if you can get it to start coming off the rim, which we have it now, we're only halfway off now. It's going to be just as hard getting the tire off, the second side off, as it was to get the first side off. There we go. Now we got it started. Now we got it off. All right, so it went on pretty easy, not super easy, but it went on relatively easy, but getting it off is a bear. And I wouldn't want to have to do that on the side of the road. The tire will stretch when it's on the rim for a while. But I can't be sure if this is an issue with the wheel or if it's an issue with the tire. So what I'm going to do is I'll put on a different tire. We'll just grab any old 700C tire and I'll put it on here and we'll see if I can put a different tire on easily. If I can, that'll tell me it's the tire, not the wheel. Because I don't want to blame the wheel if the wheel wasn't what the problem is. So we'll try a gum wall tire, a pan eraser. This is a 700 by 28C, a little narrower than the other tire. It seems a little goes on pretty much like the other one went on, maybe a little looser. This tire is Feels like it might almost come off by hand. Yeah, look at this. See that? I just put that tire on by hand, put it on, took it off by hand. That's usually how they work. So it's not the wheel. The wheel is not an issue. The tires go right on and off just like they should. The issue is that that tire, brand new from Pirelli, I don't know how long they've been making that model, but I just got it. I'm sure it's going to ride great. But I just hope I don't get any flats because it's going to take a while to get that tire off. Until it stretches out, maybe it'll get a little easier. But this tire goes on and off. One thing to note is, as I mentioned, you can hold on to these narrower tires sometimes a little more easily than the wider tires. And that might be part of the reason that's tight on there. It's counterintuitive. You think the wider tire might have more flop in it or slack in it that could get it on and off. But as you can see, this one was a lot easier to get a hold of and get it off the rim than that one. But it's not the wheel. The wheels are fine. The tire goes right on and off, no problem at all. So how did the wheels do? I've tested many pairs of Chinese carbon wheels now, and these are some of the best I've tested. So I'm going to give these A's across the board. Trueness and roundness doesn't get much better. Rim centering, it was perfect. Spoke length, again, couldn't be better. It was right on. Spoke tension was very good. Spoke twist, almost perfect, way better than most of the wheels I've checked. Stress relieved, yep, they were absolutely stress relieved at the factory, as you saw in that video, and I couldn't change the wheel trueness or roundness at all by putting some pressure on them, simulating what's going to happen when you ride them. The valves look very nice to me. Both of those tires went on easily. And ease of tire removal, well, it's going to depend on the tire, but it's definitely not the fault of the wheel because the second tire went on really easy, so we're going to give that an A too. If I was going to take anything off, I would take off the fact that they didn't come with rim strips. Every other pair of wheel I've tested has included the rim strips. So the fact that they weren't included, you know, I would take a little bit off there. Maybe LightFast will see this and maybe they'll start including rim strips, rim tape with their wheels. Or it's possible they forgot to install it, but I couldn't find it in the box anywhere. So overall, that's a really good marks, straight A's. To wrap things up, I've checked quite a few Chinese carbon wheel sets now. Mostly road, but I've checked some mountain bike and gravel wheels too. And I have to say, this is one of the best testing wheels in terms of the checks we did today. The wheel sets that I've run into. Straight A's across the board, really no issues to talk about. In case you missed part one of this video and you didn't get to see all the specs on these wheels, when you hold them in your hands, the things you notice right away is how light they are. These are 1,123 grams for the pair, which is the lightest set of wheels I've ever tested, and it'll be the lightest set of wheels I've ridden. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens when you go up a hill with wheels that weigh next to nothing. They're like 200 grams lighter than my lightest set of wheels, which is significant. So they're a nice wheel with good components, and they're built really nicely. And I want to explain about trueness and roundness. In video part number 1, you would have seen the manufacturing of the wheels in the factory. LightFast sent me some video clips. They walked around the factory with a camera and they sent me the clips, and you're able to see how they manufacture the rims. But the trueness and roundness of wheels has to do with the spokes and how the wheels are trued, but it also has to do even more so with the quality of the rim, how it was manufactured. Because if they don't put the pieces of carbon together and make the rim properly and it comes out of the molds with issues, you could have bumps in the carbon, you could have ripples, you can have issues where the wheel is not round and true. So it's a testament to the quality of LightFast construction that the wheels are that round and true. So these wheels, the list price is $1,299 per pair, but LightFast was kind enough to offer a 15% discount to you viewers. And all you have to do is when you go into the checkout, there's a place for a coupon, and what you put in there is Jim15. JIM15. That'll get you 15% off the wheels, which makes them a lot more affordable. One thing that would be great is if any of you have Light Fast wheels and you've been riding them, this will be the first set of Light Fast wheels I've had. I'd like to hear from you how you like your wheels, how they've held up, how they ride, what you like about them, if there's any issues with them. That helps other viewers who are interested in purchasing Light Fast wheels. Be sure to let me know if you have any questions on these wheels that I haven't answered, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks a lot for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.